You were my winner pick, by the way.
Oh my gosh, you have great taste. I
Right, right.
appreciate that.
Let's start on a high note. I mean, this tribal, when Sophie tries to like drop the bomb and take your advantage, was that a little fun in the moment?
It was incredibly fun because I at the in the moment too, I thought that things were going to go my way. I thought that my allies were with me, and so I knew that this block of vote was no longer in play because I played it before I left for tribal. I knew the mechanics in and out because I had been just thinking and strategizing how to best use this thing. So when they were all coming at me real hot in that tribal council, and like I was like under fire left and right. And so when Soph started reading that out and like directing it towards me instead of Rizzo's idol, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good," and that's why I'm grinning and smiling. And yeah, she was kind of dancing a little bit on my grave before I was even in the soil, talking about how I should have not told anyone that I had it because now it's about to be gone. And I was like, "Oh, I just can't wait for this speech to be over so I can just be like, nope." But
Yes.
yeah, it
Oh,
was
that
awesome.
was a juicy, juicy moment. And was there a part of you that thought, oh, she might take Rizzo's idol?
Oh, totally. I mean, so first off, I had no idea that she had that knowledge's power to begin with. Like, hats off to Sophie. She played such an incredible, like, under the radar game up to that point. I had no idea that she had that upper sleeve and that she was like aiming it in my direction. But then obviously, like, I was just that whole tribal was just like explosive from left and right. Everyone was shocked, and you're just processing it, and you're just like, it's all a big game of theater and bluffing. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. What really tipped me off though was like, not like it made sense that Savannah and Rizzo and Sophie were shocked when I said nope. But then Christina and Sage were also shocked. And I had explained, or so I thought, the mechanic of it and that it was no longer in play. I think they just forgot it, which makes sense. You're out there, you're tired, you're hungry. Brain sometimes no worky. That's happened to me so many times. But like I was like, why are they not happy and smiling with me? And so like that was a moment where I was like, it was just one of many red flags that like just were popping up and like, hindsight's 2020, but yeah. That was wild.
You clearly are a threat to win the game. So taking you out does make sense on some level, but I'm not sure I understand how Sage and Christina can be convinced to take you out. Do you have any idea?
I have no clue. I can't I was hoping that maybe watching the episode back, I would gain some clarity and see things that I didn't see that might explain it. But I genuinely didn't see anything that like really tipped me that it would go one way or the other. I think that's a question that they'll have to answer when the time comes. Um, because like I personally don't get it, but I think from their perspective, they both thought that I was a threat to, I guess more than the other three sitting next to at the end. I mean, in hindsight, like looking at the jury, I had a lot of friends, I had a lot of people that liked me. I had a pretty good resume, and I think that perhaps they felt my resume stacked up higher than everyone else, and so they thought, yeah, we're getting rid of an ally, we're getting rid of a chance to maybe have majority control moving into five, but we're going to keep Steven around who maybe we can't beat at the end. So like maybe we have a chance of beating the others. Maybe that's what was going through their head. I don't know.
So
Disappointing for sure.
help me understand though in the game because what we only see the edit, so it kind of looks to us like this trio has a fair bit of power in the game, but did it feel like that to you guys?
Yeah, I think I mean the idol was definitely something that for me like it was losing a little bit of its luster because I felt that it was mostly being used for like playing it up to the jury and like kind of looking at the jury's reactions. I didn't think it was landing the way that Rizzo thought it was landing. So I was actually pretty comfortable. I felt at the time sitting next to him. Obviously, I wasn't aware of everything that was going on behind the scenes. And so, like, from our perception, though, I mean, Savannah, she was like a comp beast. And like when she needed to win and her back was up against the wall, she was a fierce competitor and she was putting up W's when she needed to. And Rizzo's got this like idol that he's dangling. And for me, like it was just blowing my mind everything leading up to that. Like when my allies would decide that they wanted to shift the vote away from them, and my whole gameplay was trying to like minimize my threat level because coming into the merge, like I had a big target on my back because I was the one Hina member that was on the wrong side of a majority before the merge that came out alive, and so people were like, "What did Steven say and do to?" wiggle his way out of that. And not only that, but then the Nate vote. And so, and I came in second on the immunity challenge, which was like, I should have just thrown it. Like, the worst thing you can do is to come in second because then people know you can win and you don't have immunity. So I was sweating. And so, I knew that the votes were going to go on Alex because Sage and Jawan told me, they clued me in on that, but we agreed that it made the most sense for me to vote Blue Sophie to not let the others know how closely we were working together. If all of a sudden Steven's throwing down Alex, they're like, who told him? Well, obviously Sage and Jawan. Now we can't trust Sage and Jawan. Maybe they're going to flip on us again. So my whole gameplay up to this point was I was trying to just lay low and try to like minimize my threat level. And by seemingly voting the wrong way and seeming like I didn't know what was going on, I was like, that's great. I look like I'm clueless. Like maybe people won't see me as big of a threat and I can kind of live to fight another day. And but then yeah, it just blew my mind sometimes when people would come back and they're like, oh, we're gonna throw the votes this way. I mean, Alex was playing the middle and like he was someone that we didn't know where his true allegiance really lay. So I was like, we need to vote out Alex eventually. I guess we'll get him out now. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to take shots at them like from the very first vote. Like instead of Nate, I wanted it to be Savannah.
Right.
And people, in my alliance really, really wanted to get Nate instead. And so I was like, okay. And then like we just kept letting them slide by. And I was like, what are we doing? I couldn't believe when MC didn't come back from that split tribal. I know Sophie felt hurt that we were shocked that she came back, but from my perspective, I wasn't shocked that she came back. I was shocked that her and MC both didn't come back. And then the other element of shock was that Rizzo came back with his idol. And so that's where my reaction was coming from. I was happy to see Sophie made it back alive. She was one of my Hina allies, or so I thought at the
Yeah.
time. But that was kind of like the moment where I think she started to get other ideas, and she definitely blindsided me on the Juwan vote. Like she was a great game player, like hats off. And so yeah,
Yeah.
anyway,
That
that was a
was
rambling
that was
answer.
a super surprising tribal for sure. Now you said in this tribal that you've had some bad reads in this game. Was there one that you can really like point out was a really bad read?
I have to keep in mind like a lot of like what I would say in tribal was to like downplay my threat level. So like
Mm.
I would sometimes make it seem like I was a little more clueless than I was, but like definitely, dude, I was humbled for sure on the Jawan blind side. I totally misread Yellow Sophie. She had this amazing moment, and I can't believe it didn't get shown, but she like turned on the waterworks for me and cried. It was like an Oscar-worthy performance, and I bought it, and like it was so impressive. And so I totally misread that situation. I totally misread, um, you know, just like how tight those three were, Rizzo, Savannah, and Sophie, until it was like, okay, guys, like, come on, they've been voting together for the last few votes, but they played an amazing game. And like, yeah, I wasn't perfect. I definitely made mistakes. And so like, while saying that at Tribal was true, it also was, again, I'm just trying to downplay my threat level as much as I could because people were coming after me. And I was like, maybe if I come off as clueless, I don't know if they'll buy it, but maybe I'll live to fight another day.
Right. So you're wearing hearing aids out there, and
Yeah.
I just am always in, awe that you guys are so dirty and so gross. Is that an issue with the hearing aids of keeping them clean?
Yeah, totally. It was definitely really hard. And like there's filters that you have, and so you take them off, and like I was swapping the filters out constantly because it was getting dirty, it was getting mucky, and you're sweating, and there's all this dirt and stuff that gets in them, and so I ended up getting insurance for my hearing aids because they're expensive. They're like $6,000 off the shelf, and luckily I had, even with my health insurance and meeting my deductible, I still had to pay quite a bit out of pocket, and so I was like, and like also just from a gameplay perspective, if these are damaged, I bought a really cheap backup pair,
Mm.
but they were not tuned specifically to my type of hearing loss. They mostly were just like amplifiers, and they amplified everything. And so I never ended up wearing them at night while these were recharging because it would just amplify also like the ambient noise from the waves that were coming in. And so I wasn't really not able to hear people whisper even worse when I had them in. So yeah, it was tough. Like, it was definitely something that I had to handle and work with out there. But to me, it's kind of like wearing glasses. Like if you're out there and you're wearing like just bifocals, you have to worry about keeping those clean and keeping them from breaking. And it's kind of the same thing. It's just another piece of hardware. If you can't see, you get glasses. If you can't hear, get hearing aids. And I didn't really think
But
too much of it beyond that.
it blocked from bugs getting in your ear, right?
I guess so. Yeah, it does have that little side benefit. Yeah. And they be crawling everywhere, especially at night.
Yeah. That is like one of my nightmares is a bug crawling in my ear. So you at least had that little leg up.
Yeah, it was a little added layer of protection for sure, for sure.
So as a fan of the show, we watch it, we think we know what's going on. But now that you've played the game, what is the biggest difference once you're actually out there on the beach?
There were a lot of things that surprised me. I thought that I was really going to struggle with not being able to eat. Like I'd get hangry, I'd get brain foggy. But what surprised me a lot was like how quickly you adapt to not eating and like how your body stops sending the hunger signals to your brain, but you still feel it. Like you still get the brain fog and you stand up and you get dizzy. And I think it's just grueling, like it adds up over time. And even on your best days, like you're making all these mental calculations of like caloric intake. Like, is it worth the a number of calories I'm going to burn by chopping up this coconut or going fishing and fighting against the current to maybe Hawaiian sling a tiny little fish? You're just constantly doing like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? It's this like big value prop analysis you're doing in your head. And yeah, I don't know. That was something that surprised me a lot too. It was like, it was hard and grueling in ways that I thought it wasn't going to be. And also like, I thought I was a pretty good read and judge a character. And like, in some ways I was right. But in a lot of ways, like people are incredible liars, incredible storytellers. And it is so much harder to tell when someone, even your close allies, are really with you. And like, that's why these moments of loyalty where people actually write their name down that they say they're going to write really carries so much weight. And that's why I just came to trust Sage and Christina so inherently because like they had put their money where their mouth was. Christina played her idol for me. Sage voted to keep me over Shannon and Nate, and like was working with me. And so like, yeah, it's just, you think you got a good read and then sometimes that can set you up for a big blindside. And that's part of the game. It was fun. It was a fun one.
Speaking of like making a decision on calories and such, you went on the strenuous journey. Um, Impressive that you did that whole island. I was confused though about the numbers. Were you just putting them in order? Like you didn't have to change them up at all?
I just had to put them in order, which was thankfully, I mean, but at the same time, like there's only so many, right? Like maybe you'd have to, yeah, yeah, they only
What
had to
if
go
you
in
had
order.
gone
So
the other way? Did you know to go that way? What if you'd had them
I did know to
backwards?
go that way because they did
Okay.
like yeah, it did show like a map and it showed like here and go this way. So I did know I was running in the right direction to start
Okay.
with, but yeah, there was a moment though, I will say that like the first three easels with numbers were pretty equidistant. And so like I had no concept of distance and time, but the distance between the third and the fourth one was like triple the distance between any of the ones that came before it. And I was like, I kept running and every time I turned a corner or climb over a rock and like, I'm hoping to see another easel and I wasn't seeing it. And I was like, did I miss one? Did I go the wrong direction? And like logically it didn't make sense because like Steven, there's no wrong turns you can make as long as you're running the perimeter of this beach. There's no wrong turns. You're just lapping around it. But that's what exhaustion mentally and physically will do to your brain is it makes you just you have to smack yourself out of it. But yeah, no, just had to get the numbers in order, which was great. But yeah, that was crazy.
Congrats on an amazing game. You were very fun to watch. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's an honor to talk to you. Like this is like a pinch me moment. I love your videos. I've been obviously seeing the other interviews you've been doing with my castmates, and I just love what you do. And so thanks for giving me the time.